Well, last week we welcomed you to Rocky Top. This week we are in the land of You Betcha. Yeah, that's right. We're in Grand Forks, North Dakota, and what you see there is the Alara Center, and we welcome you inside the Alara Center for another edition of Crown Countdown U. Well, we're at the home of the Fightin' Hawks, as you can see in the background, and it's an unofficial Team Canada. 4 of the Fighting Hawks are Canadian. Welcome back to Grand Forks, North Dakota, everyone. Winnipeg, not that far away from this place. It's 2.5 hours up the road. And as a matter of fact, you talk to people around here, some of them consider this place a border town to Canada. So should we be all that surprised that a Winnipegger by the name of Brady Oliveira finds his way down here and becomes the starting running back with those Fightin' Hawks? With a Brazilian background, of course, soccer was his first love. But he started in football as a kicker at the age of 13 when one of his dad's friends coached football and needed a toe.
It was when I was 12 or 13 years old. They had an injury, one of their teams, and I think it was actually it was their kicker. And he's like, you know, our kicker went down, you play soccer, come and kick for us. You know, come out, try football, and if you like it, you know, play. If you don't, whatever, at least you tried it out. I remember him knocking on my door. His name's Ron Scorepad. He knocked on my door, and he's like, that's how we introduced it to my parents. He's like, you know what, like, please just let Brady try football. You know, and I really think he'll be a good player at it. You know, just let him try it out. You know, and I went and I tried it out, and I still remember that first practice to this day. It was a lot of kicking my first practice. You know, I caught some balls here and there, but I just fell in love with the game.
He accepted a full ride to North Dakota, but along the way he had Manitoba Bisons to look up to, who eventually made it to the CFL, and he ended up training with Anthony Coombs, Keenan LaFrance, and Nick Dembski.
I guess first meeting those guys at Recruit Ready and at Elite Performance up in Winnipeg, those 2 training facilities where I train at and where most of those guys do train at in the off season. Like Anthony Coombs, Nick Dembski, Keenan LaFrance, DJ Lalama, you know, the list goes on with the guys that are in the CFL right now that went through Manitoba and that are, you know, from Winnipeg. And, you know, it's just, I feel like it was, the influence it had on me was just great. They were kind of like a big brother to me along the way, and really just working out with them. You know, they had the same goals and same drive that I wanted to accomplish, and seeing where they went, I was like, you know what, I need to follow their footsteps.
Oliveira began to perform immediately in his freshman year. Over his career, he's had a number of 100-yard games, leading right up to the Big Sky Championship victory last year.
The Big Sky Conference Championship game, it was just crazy. I feel like the number 1 play I still remember is our corner, Dion Harris, with the pick 6 to, you know, finish it off and win the game. That moment I'll remember the rest of my life, and with those group of guys, just that whole season in general, just, you know, just keeping fight and belief and having faith and really just trusting the process and coming every day to work and, you know, just really learning the game plan, and I feel like we executed on Saturdays.
This season, he's worked on his quickness, and one of the ways he's done that is by taking some advice from his brother, who's a boxer and an MMA fighter. He switched to being a vegan.
I feel amazing switching to that lifestyle of eating. It started with my brother. My brother being a professional athlete, he's a professional boxer and mixed martial artist. Also, if you're a professional athlete, you know, you really have to watch what you put into your body, and that's for any athlete in general. It's so important what you put into your body.
The decision to go to Grand Forks, North Dakota was not all about football. It was about getting a full ride scholarship.
Playing sports is obviously going to cost some money, and I feel like for me, if I didn't get a scholarship, I was thinking like I'm not going to be able to go to college. And I feel like that's why I worked so hard, because I knew my parents weren't going to be able to afford to send me to school. So I was like, you know what, this can be my way of getting my school paid for.
Grand Forks is only 2.5 hours down the road from Winnipeg, so it's easy for his family to come down and see him in every home game.
Super close to home. Pretty much every home game that we have here, I'll have some type of family friends come down. I mean, my mom is that's my why in life. I do everything for my mom. And, you know, I thought at first with going through the recruiting process, I knew I wanted to to leave home and, you know, not stay in Winnipeg. But I just didn't know where I was going to end up, didn't know how far I was going to be. But the number one thing I would always think about is, you know, my mom. So definitely when I got offered by North Dakota, it definitely made it a lot easier to, you know, this is a right spot. It's close to home. I can see my family, you know, whenever I want, typically. For home games are here, and in the off season, if I want to go home for a weekend, you know, I can do so.
He's only a year and a half away from going into a professional draft. What is his message to scouts?
You know, I think as a person, I'm just going to be trying to be the best person I can be day in and day out, regardless of the situations that I'm facing. I'm going to make sure, even if it's a negative situation, to make it into a positive.
Our thanks to Brady Oliveira, and we will have more features with UND players as we roll through the season on Crown Countdown U. Coming up, it's the Power 7. Stick around. Welcome back, everyone. It is your Power 7. No changes to any of the positions, no surprises, and the Canada West took a week off, so everybody stays put. Now it's time for Sean Olson with X's and Olson.
This week we're going to take a look at the anatomy of a monster receiving day, specifically Laurier's Curly Gittens Jr.'s 18-catch, 174-yard performance. Let's take a look at this first play. One of the key elements is going to be athleticism. Real simple play. We're going to bring this guy down in motion. We're going to a simple switch pattern. He's going to come out in sort of a wheel pattern and get down the sidelines. He's going to stretch the field. A huge play, tough catching coverage. Let's roll it. So here it is. You know that Michael Neville's got the huge arm, looks down the field, and huge bomb down the sidelines. Contested catch. Absolutely amazing. Now, the next thing you need in order to have an 18-catch performance is the belief of your coach. He's got to call some plays for you. Simple plays to get the ball in your hands so you can make big plays for your team. Next play we're going to look at here is a tunnel screen. Huge play in a receiving offense. Let's take a look at what they do. So right here, you're going to have a simple little hitch screen. Tunnel screen is going to get inside. We're going to block the halfback. We're going to get inside and get out with your O-lineman and your fullback. And you're going to create a little bit of a seam right in here. Simple play to get the ball in a playmaker's hands. Again, belief of a coach. Let's see what happens here with Gittens Jr. So here it is. Gets the ball out quick to the receiver. Nice little seam. Gets up the field on that explosion. First down. That's huge in order to have 18 catches in a performance. All right, and now the next play is going to be just a simple hitch to the sidelines. But again, you've got to have the belief of your quarterback, and you've got to get first downs. Let's take a look. All right, here we go. It's just a simple hitch, seam combination. A little going to be a zone fake, so to get the linebackers up. He's going to catch the ball at around 7 yards and then burst up the field for a first down. You need to get first downs if you're going to get 18 catches in one game. Let's take a look. Great play versus cover 3. Gets the ball out to the sidelines. And right here, watch. Foot in the ground, up the field, gaining extra yards. Those first downs are key because they give you more opportunities for catches. Massive day, 18 catches, 174 yards. The only way you get that to happen, and your coach believes in you, your quarterback trusts you, you've got athleticism, and you make some tough catches. Curly's Gittens Jr. We'll see what happens as the season goes on.
Oh, the sound of thunder that you hear is time for the Weekend Warriors, and it's off to you, Mr. Randall.
My Weekend Warrior is out on the East Coast. A name you might remember because he was very prominent a couple seasons ago, has been quiet lately. Chris Reed, the running back from Mount Allison, 27 totes for 194 yards and a rushing touchdown in their big win over St. FX this past weekend, as the AUS continues to be completely unpredictable this season.
My Weekend Warrior is a guy that I watched play on Thursday. I went down to Kingston for the first ever night game at Richardson Stadium. The Gales hammered Waterloo. Every time I looked up, number 28 was making a play for the tricolor. The Thunder Bay native, Jake Puskas, has taken over for the injured Jonah Pataki and taken advantage of the situation. Against Waterloo last Thursday, 22 carries, 175 yards, and a couple of touchdowns on the ground. He also caught 2 passes for 58 more yards, both of which were TDs. The Gales are 2-4. They finished the season against York and the University of Toronto. Their playoff hopes are not over yet.
And my weekend warrior, well, I'm stateside, so yes, this week it will come from stateside. When in Grand Forks, do as the locals do. Stick with the local, and I will stick with Brady Oliveira as my weekend warrior. He had another 100-yard game, didn't do much in the first half, but took off in the second half in a game that was filled with offense. He may have been kept out of the end zone, but for Oliveira, that is his 8th 100-yard game as a fighting hawk. And that will do it for another edition of Crown Countdown U. Next week, we'll actually be at home, back in the studio. Gord'll have a friend. But for now, this is Jim Mullen saying, let's get out to the game.